Well, President Trump sticking up for America during his speech to the United Nations General Assembly.
Wise leaders always put the good of their own people and their own country first. The future does not belong to globalists. The future belongs to patriots.
Well, he also had some very strong words for Iran and China. And here to break it all down for us is Vice President for Foreign Policy at the Heritage Foundation, James Carafano. Thank you so much for joining us. We always appreciate your expertise.
Good to be with you.
So let's just begin with your overall thought on his address to the United Nations yesterday.
Well, you know what? One of my first thoughts was this is one of the most fulsome expression of the president's policies that he put out there. So if somebody wants to know what the president's actually doing in the world as opposed to what he's tweeting and what we're yelling about, you should actually read the speech because it's a great laydown of that. But my first kind of impression is, remember John Bolton? Because I think one of the things the president has done in the last few days is just remind me that these are my policies. And they were before John was there. They'll be after John left. Tough on Venezuela, tough on China, tough on Iran, putting American interests as a primary driver of American foreign policy. These are things that the president brought with him into office. They're his policies, and he's just telling everybody they'll be his policies until the day he leaves office.
Yeah, that's a very good point, especially bringing up John Bolton and the difference between the two. This is what President Trump had to say in reference to Iran and being tough on China.
No responsible government should subsidize Iran's bloodlust. How China chooses to handle the situation will say a great deal about its role in the world in the future. I will not accept a bad deal for the American people.
So two huge issues happening right now. How do you think he handled that? And what about the response? What do you think the response was?
Well, I was actually stunned that the president was so tough on China. And it's not just this speech. The U.S. administration has been tough in New York all week, raising a whole bunch of issues, including Chinese really infiltration of UN organizations. They have over 1,000 employees there. They have people in leadership positions way out of proportion to other countries. And all these people are working for the Chinese. The U.S. has been calling them on it all week. And to see the president call them out in his speech was pretty stunning, because you would think, you're trying to cut a deal with these guys. Why would you be banging them over the head? But I think it's really important that the president did that, because he's showing other countries the way forward, that you have to stand up for your interests, particularly against the Chinese. And even as we're trying to deal with the Chinese, they could never get the notion that we're going to just back off and let them do what they want. I think it was a tough message, really kind of important that he delivered that, and I think an exemplar to other countries who are also dealing with the Chinese and are under a lot of pressure, just kind of cave and give the Chinese what they want.
Yeah, and what about what he had to say about North Korea? I know that's just off topic a little bit, but I'm interested in what you think about that.
Yeah, I'm in the camp that thinks that a deal might be in the works. The administration has basically gone back to the North Koreans and said, look, you guys look like you just want to sit on your hands until after the election and see who's president. I'm not going to wait for that. If you want to do a deal, it's time to get serious. And I think the administration would only do that if they thought the North Koreans were going to move off the dime and get a deal. So I'm actually in the camps that think there might be a summit within the next year, and that there actually might be a deal.
Yeah, I agree. I think there were some hints of that yesterday. James, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right.